Hey, what's going on, guys? Troy here with WakeNetwork.com, chilling out here in Manhattan Beach on the beautiful Strand. And I want to discuss the best creatine for muscle building, specifically for you naturally skinny guys. I want to talk about, 4 of the main types of creatine and just kind of give you guys the information to weigh the pros and the cons and give you guys my suggestion on the best creatine to build rock solid lean muscle mass. So, first of all, creatine is one of the only scientifically proven supplements that help you guys build lean muscle. It's going to increase the energy output of your hard-working muscles. It's basically going to allow you to put more overload on your body's largest and strongest muscle groups. And the more overload you can put on your muscle groups, the stronger you're going to get, the higher your testosterone levels are going to be. And it just has this, residual compound effect of helping you guys build lean muscle mass and increase your strength. So I really can't recommend, taking creatine enough. Creatine, it had a really bad reputation back in the day. A lot of people thought that it gave you kidney problems and caused stomach issues, but a lot of that has actually been refuted. There was actually a 2004 study by a European council that it basically said that 3 grams of creatine long-term use has absolutely no long-term side effects. So creatine is a safe, powerful, scientifically proven muscle building supplement. So let me dive into 4 types of creatine, get into the pros and cons of each single one. The first type of creatine I want to discuss is creatine monohydrate. Now this is the old-fashioned formula. This is the creatine that's been around for, I believe, like 30, 40 years. The stuff that people have been taking since, the 1970s, used by a lot of old-school bodybuilders. And this stuff is obviously, it's very effective. The pros of it is super cheap. It's going to be the lowest cost when you're just comparing it with the other 3 I'm going to discuss in price per serving. But the cons are your body isn't able to absorb all of it. So when you take this cheap creatine, your body doesn't absorb all of it, your muscles don't absorb all of it. So you're taking 5 grams, but your body's really only absorbing 15, 20, 25% of it, depending on if you have any sugar in your system and just kind of how your body absorbs it. So obviously, regardless of how much you take, the only thing that's effective is how much your body and your muscle tissue is actually absorbing. So this means you have to take more. And the creatine that's not absorbed by your muscle tissue actually sits outside and causes a lot of that excess water weight and that bloating that's associated with the cheaper forms of creatine. So those are the cons. So I mean, yeah, you're still gonna get some on your skeletal tissue. It's still gonna help you increase your strength, but you're gonna have a little bit of excess bloat and water retention associated with that cheap creatine formula. So that's good old-fashioned creatine monohydrate. The second form of creatine is Crealkaline, also known as buffered creatine. And this stuff actually has been formulated where I believe they adjusted the pH level of the creatine formula so your body's able to absorb a lot more of it. So this means that when you're taking a couple grams, your body is absorbing 70, 80, 90% of it, and you have less of that creatinine bad product that sits outside of your muscle cells and causes that water retention and that bloating and a lot of the stomach issues that people have been complaining about when it comes to the cheaper forms of creatine. So buffered creatine, it's going to cost you more money than your regular creatine monohydrate, but it's a lot more effective. You don't have to take as much. You don't need to do loading phases like you do with the cheap form of creatine. So you take it and it's instantly absorbed into your skeletal tissue. Gonna cost you about twice as much price per serving though when compared to the creatine monohydrate. Next up, we have micronized creatine. Now micronized creatine is very cheap and it's highly effective. And the whole science behind micronized creatine is the smaller the particle, the easier your body's able to absorb it. So they've actually, by micronizing it, they've created these tiny little creatine particles. And this means that when you take it, your muscle tissue absorbs almost all of it. So you don't have this excess creatinine byproduct, which is the negative byproduct of when you take this creatine and your body doesn't absorb everything that you need. So really effective, also really good price per serving. It only costs slightly more than the good old-fashioned creatine monohydrate powders. So micronized creatine, highly effective formula, great price per serving. And last but not least, we have this new form, creatine HCl. I believe a company by the name of Promera Sports that make this stuff called Concrete. And creatine HCl is supposed to be the best absorbing creatine out of all the other forms. So it's supposed to be the best technology, the best absorbing form of creatine. But the negative is it's really, really expensive. Now I've taken all 4 of these creatine formulas and I didn't notice a dramatic difference in strength with any of them. So I didn't really notice when I took the concrete creatine HCO that I was stronger. I mean, I did notice that I wasn't retaining any bit of water weight, but as far as increasing my strength and, you know, building more lean muscle mass, I didn't really notice a dramatic difference. So they're all, in my opinion, very similar when it comes to increasing strength and increasing muscle mass. The form that I recommend the most, if you want to combine everything, the lowest price per serving with the best muscle building results and the least amount of water retention and bloat, is micronized creatine. So I just say good old fashioned micronized creatine by Optimum Sports. Super cost effective, will help you naturally skinny guys pack on rock solid lean muscle mass. So anyways guys, that is my long rant on the best forms of creatine and you know, specifically for naturally skinny guys or anyone just looking to bulk up and gain lean muscle mass. If you guys are looking for more great tips on how to bulk up and gain lean muscle mass, check out weightgainmethod.com. Thanks guys. I want to go over 3 killer mistakes that are preventing so many of you naturally skinny guys from gaining a lot of muscle mass. These are 3 mistakes that I've seen over the years with so many naturally skinny guys, and I see the same mistakes over and over again. So I want to give you guys my